guys, it's Star, the Hungry Hippo. Tonight on Hungry Hippos, we are going to be making shepherd's pie. So first let's talk about what you're going to need. You're going to need a pound of hamburger meat. Mine's wrapped in foil because we buy it bulk, it's cheaper, and then you can weigh it on a kitchen scale and freeze it in non-stick foil by the pound. It's just saving on money. You're going to need mixed vegetables. Now, these are the ones I typically use. They're Walmart brand. They're just your basic mixed vegetables. This is a 2-pound bag. I'm only going to be using half today, so you need 1 pound of mixed vegetables. You can also use these. You can use the California blend that has cauliflower, broccoli, and carrots. You can use a soup mix blend. You can use any kind of vegetables that you guys like, that you and your family would enjoy. Keith and I sometimes use these and then add in other leftover vegetables we have. We like all vegetables. So I mean, you can use these, anything else your family likes, or you can just, you know, clean out your fridge and throw in all your extra vegetables in. You're going to need some kind of instant potatoes. I know a lot of people frown at instant potatoes, but for this recipe, fresh potatoes really don't work. And remember, the whole point behind the Hungry Hippo series is we're making fast meals. We're doing easy prep, fast meals with lots of servings to get us in and out of the kitchen as quickly as possible and back to life and back to our jobs as resellers. So the instant potatoes are okay for this. These are Walmart brand also. These are the roasted garlic. Sometimes I use the 4 cheese. You can choose plain, butter, any kind of flavor your family likes. That's the other thing I wanted to point out. Again, no recipe is set in stone. So you can always add, take away, substitute, and do anything different that may be what your family enjoys more. So any kind of vegetable you want, about a pound, frozen, or you can just use leftovers out of the fridge. Instant potatoes, it could be the pouch, it could be the box, it could be Betty Crocker, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be like 1 package. You're going to need some shredded cheese. No, we're not going to use all 2 pounds of this bag. Again, this is something we buy in bulk because it's cheaper and we use a lot of cheese. We use the Fiesta blend, but you can use any kind of cheese you'd like, from mozzarella to cheddar to the taco blend, whatever kind of cheese your family likes. Just make sure that it's pre-shredded. And that is the 4 ingredients that you need for this recipe. If you like, you can add diced tomatoes to your meat while you're cooking it, or green chilies or jalapenos if you like to spice things up. I cook my meat with garlic, salt and pepper, and minced onion. But you can season your meat however you like, or not season it at all. Or you can add, like I said, tomatoes or some kind of chilies if you want like a more southwestern flavor to your shepherd's pie. So I'm going to go ahead and get the meat on, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay guys, as you can see, I am browning the meat, and I have minced onion, garlic, and salt and pepper on the meat. You can use any of those, none of those, however you like to season your meat. Those are just the 4 basic seasonings that I really enjoy on hamburger. Actually, I use garlic and onion on pretty much everything I cook because those 2 flavors are just amazing. I added a little bit of water. That's a trick. Oops, I dropped my fork in there. A trick my mom and my grandmother both taught me. If you add just a little bit of water to the skillet, it helps break the meat up and it cooks down smaller, and then you don't have to really crumble it after you drain it. It'll already be like cooked down really small. I don't have a fancy doodad that you see people browning meat with on some of the bigger cooking YouTube channels. I just use a fork. I use a basic skillet and a basic fork. I am not fancy in the kitchen. I can make really good food. I can rustle it up really quickly. I can make things easy, but I have all basic tools. So while this browns, I'm going to go multitask because that is another thing that I like to do in the kitchen. I like to do a lot of multitasking and get things going all at the same time so that things are done more efficiently and more quickly. We're going to preheat the oven to about 400. We have an old gas oven, you can hear it clicking. So the meat has been browned and it is in a colander in the sink, draining the grease off. The mashed potato packet instructions called for 2 cups of boiling water. So I measured 2 cups into my tea kettle there and brought it to a boil. And you're supposed to moisten all the flakes, let them sit for a couple minutes, and then you'll fluff them up. While the potatoes sit and soak up the moisture, we are going to go ahead and mix our vegetables and meat together. This is in my Pyrex dish. You know, I think this is the orange Pyrex dish with the snowflakes on it that's actually worth a lot of money to resell on eBay. But this is like my favorite casserole dish. It was my grandmother's and then it was my mom's, and I like it. It's perfect for shepherd's pie. Like, this is the most amazing dish to cook shepherd's pie in, but a lot of casseroles work well in here. I do my scalloped potatoes in here. This is just my favorite dish. And my favorite part about it is it comes with a glass lid like this. So if we have leftovers, I don't necessarily have to go to the extra effort of scooping it out of the casserole into a covered dish or Tupperware to put in the fridge. I just throw the glass lid on it and put it in the fridge. Alright guys, so I'm whipping the potatoes up. You see they're nice and still steamy hot. Now the next step, we have all the vegetables and the meat mixed together. And I kind of flattened out the top. I have a spatula. I'm going to take the potatoes and put them on top of the meat and vegetable mixture. And I just use a spatula because it's easy to get all the way around the bowl and get all the potatoes out. And it's easy to smooth them on the top like this when you have a spatula. The potatoes are going to sometimes stick and they're going to want to come up, and you're going to pull up meat and vegetables. That's fine. I'm not fancy. I just want my food to taste good, so you know, if it doesn't look uniform potatoes on top and there's a stray pea or carrot, like, or a piece of meat, I can hang with that. So I just make sure I get all the potatoes out of the bowl. And I smooth them on top. If you have a really large family, you could actually like double this recipe. And you could have a full like casserole dish, but you could feed a lot more people. This feeds me and Keith 2 nights. It makes about 6 servings. I'd say he eats 2 and I eat 1, and we can eat on it twice. Not the Keith's pig, but this is one of his favorite meals that I make. And I do eat a little bit like a mouse at times. So once you get your mashed potatoes on here, then you want to come in with your cheese. We call this sprinkle cheese because you sprinkle it on food, but it's actually the shredded, but whatever. We call it sprinkle. Now you can be as minimalistic as you'd like or as hoggy as you like. You can put a ton on here and have a whole entire cheese crust at the end. I go somewhere in the middle. I like to have a nice amount. And make sure that you're washing your hands in between dealing with the raw meat and this section, which I did. I'm sure most of you know that, but you don't want to be handling raw meat and then touching other food. Alright, so now this is beautiful. This goes in the oven that we have preheated at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. I set the timer for 20 and I check it. Sometimes it's done. Sometimes when I poke in the middle, some of the vegetables still feel frozen, and then I go for another 5 or 10. I think it depends on your altitude and your oven and stuff. So I always just start with 20 minutes, 400, and then we'll check it. Alright guys, here it is fresh out of the oven. You can see this nice brown around the edges where the cheese has crusted. Get a little serving here so you can see. Yep, you just literally scoop it all out together and put it in a bowl. Now I like to add a little bit of pepper and salt, just a little bit. I also add a little bit of this Louisiana hot sauce. This is just basically a generic version of the Frank's Red Hot, if you're familiar with that. It's a nice, like, vinegary, tangy, almost buffalo sauce. It's something I add to a lot of my food. I really like the flavor of it. I think it tastes very good. It just has red cayenne peppers, distilled vinegar, salt, and of course, you know, xanthan gum, which probably isn't good for me, but the rest of it is okay. All right, so that's how I eat it, with salt and pepper and a little bit of the Louisiana hot sauce. That's how I enjoy it. Keith eats it plain. This is such a super simple, easy thing, you guys. You use one skillet, one casserole dish, easy cleanup, about 10 minutes of prep, and 20 minutes in the oven when you can be doing any other tasks that you need to do throughout the day rather than standing over a stove. If you try the recipe, let me know down below in the comment section if you enjoyed it, especially if you try it and you omit anything or add anything or change the recipe. I would be curious to know, and maybe I'll try it too. In the description box down below, I will leave a link to a shared Google Doc where I will have the recipe typed out and you can print it off. Just remember, no recipe is ever set in stone. You can always change it to suit your family and your own taste buds. Do me a favor, if you would, smash the like button, and if you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are at Flippin Hippos. Until next time, you guys have a good night.